Mr. Edit Man presents. What are some awesome / hilarious / crazy ideas you had for a school assignment? In high school, we read Lord of the Flies in English one year. Our final project with the book was to recreate the novel, using our class list as the cast. I decided to go the journal route, as I'm absolute crap at third-person storytelling, but I can rattle off experiences for hours. This thread, case in point, I wrote about who died in the airplane crash, who split into cliques, and why I remained carefully neutral. Someone had to document what was going on out on this godforsaken island. I drew maps, I documented deaths, I started in pen, I switched to a pencil, then a Sharpie. You see, my supplies were being stolen from my shelter by the other kids. Then came my creative genius moment. About 3/4 through my tale, I took the pages outside and burned through them in strategic spots. I have never had so much fun purposefully destroying something I was going to hand in. The final page was typewritten, as I, of course, was among the survivors that were finally rescued. The teacher, most of the school considered her strict, to put it nicely. Loved it. She even thanked me for letting her die peacefully. So my identical twin brother had a homework assignment from his creative thinking class in grad school. He was studying marketing / advertising. The assignment was to become an expert on a subject you are not familiar / experienced with over the weekend and present what you know to the class on Monday. That Monday I just happened to be driving through his town. He asked me if I could help him present his homework assignment to his class. I was skeptical at first. I just graduated undergrad and was tired of school. But after hearing his idea I could not resist. His class was first thing Monday morning. In the back of the classroom there was this small lobby area for people's coats and whatnot. My role was to wait there unseen by his teacher and classmates until it was his time to present, and I was given my cue. After about 20 minutes of waiting and listening to other students present their work, it was finally his turn. He stands in front of the class and tells everyone that over the weekend he became an expert on time travel. He goes on to tell the class that he has come up with a theory and invention that will make time travel possible. He says, "Allow me to explain with this diagram ... and turns to the chalkboard. That's my cue. I burst into the room. Stop the presentation. Stop the presentation. The class is silent, confused and somewhat alarmed. What? Why? Who are you? My surprised brother asks. It's me, you. You from the future. Your invention works. It really works. But you have to go home immediately and turn off the gas to your stove. I'll explain more later. But hurry, you do not have much time." I exclaim and I run out of the room. My brother turns and tells the teacher he's sorry, but he has to cut his presentation short and leave the class to check on his apartment. The teacher lifts up his finger and is about to object ... but instead smiles and says, "Well done. He got an A." In 6th grade, our teacher told us to make some art. No further instruction. I took a styrofoam hamburger container, threw some potato chips and screws in it, then drizzled some paint on them and called it "View from a Dumpster." Got an A. They put it in the school library with some of the others. When I checked on it a month later, there were 2 single-file chorus lines of ants running along the bookshelves, one leading to it, and one away. The lines were easily 30 feet long, unbroken, maybe longer. It was probably the proudest it ever been of an assignment. When I was in 5th grade, we had to do the classic science class project that involved the teacher dropping an egg off of the roof of the school, and the students designing some kind of padding / parachute / other device so that it could land without breaking. Just to be a dick, I decided to put my egg inside of a raw chicken that I bought from the grocery store. It totally worked. I got an A and a lecture from my teacher about salmonella. Freshman year of college, I had to give a commemorative speech in my public speaking class. This could be about a person, holiday, etc. I chose to give a speech about a holiday that someone a year ahead of me in high school had invented for a song. Pimpin' Hose Day. The guy liked to think he was a rapper, but he was really bad. We're talking KCO keyboard demo with some mumbles bad. This particular song was comedic gold, though. So I got up in front of the class and read off a very carefully worded speech about the oldest profession, talking about the many positive effects on communities and such. I spoke slow and clear, using very proper language, except whenever I needed to refer to pimps or hoes, I use those terms. I also made sure to mention that Pimpin' Hose Day is celebrated every day, except for Halloween. On Halloween, other people may be dressed as pimps or hoes, and we do not want to get confused. This was seriously discussed in the song. The class was utterly silent throughout the speech. And when I went to sat down, a solid 20 seconds went by before the teacher asked who wanted to go next. After a few more seconds of silence, someone said, "How can you go after that?" I had to do a speech like this in freshman year. But for our speech we were required to have one visual aid. Anything really, as it is an integral item for life. I decided to do my speech on water. So I get up to the podium all dressed up in my suit and tie, and proceed to pour an entire water bottle all over my head before I begin, keeping a straight face the entire time. I then continued my 10-minute speech praising water without saying the actually word water one time. I would refer to it as a liquid and some other synonym I cannot remember. 100, and it boosted me from a B to an A. Most excellent. My senior project in high school was about Nikola Tesla. The presentations were supposed to be 15 minutes long with a 10-minute Q&A session. Mine was about 45 minutes. I went to my physics teacher and borrowed his Tesla coil to perform various experiments with. I then went to a party store and bought a mad scientist costume kit, complete with wild hair, a lab coat, and thick goggles. One of my favorite things that I did was hold the end of the coil in my hand. In my other hand hold a fluorescent tube light and play the Imperial March while waving the bulb around. I also used it to magnetize a fork and shock, literally, a few classmates. I got a 103%, even though I went over by 20 minutes. You saved the teacher from having to teach for an extra 20 minutes and provided entertainment for the whole class. For biology I once drank 10 cans of Red Bull to see the effect on concentration, blood pressure, and running up a staircase 10 times. I was 15 back then, and my two best friends helped me. We tested at 0 cans, 5 cans, and 10 cans. One of my friends ended throwing up everything after the running, and I managed to not sleep and lie in bed shivering like an ex-druggie. I had to sell a product in my economics class and did not really care about it, and the teacher did not either. Ended up selling podiums. Used the one I was standing behind as a prototype. Had a friend of mine help me sell our latest product, the invisible podium. I knocked on the air and he knocked on his desk. It was awesome. So in 5th grade or so, during class we had a discussion on how to give instructions / how to write a how to. The object was to instruct the other person you were paired with on how to do something simple. My teachers all knew I was both smart and a smartass, and this teacher called me up to demonstrate how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. They would give me the instructions and I would do it. The teacher winked at me, and I knew immediately what to do. So the teacher says, "Well, you just take the peanut butter and jelly and you put it on the bread." And I took the unopened bottles of Banj and put them on top of the unopened loaf of bread. So she says you need to open them first. And I said oops, and then opened them, leaving them where they were. So then she says no, you need to take some of each of the peanut butter and jelly and put them on a slice of bread. Then put the other slice on top. And I said, well, why did not you say so? And had a stroke of brilliance in which I just shoved my hand into each of the containers and took a giant fistful and smeared them on the bread. So they were both dripping with stuff. She facepalms and says you were supposed to use the knife. And I said, well, you should have said so. I ended up getting to eat that massive sandwich while everyone else had to do other work because I had so perfectly demonstrated her point on being very detail oriented. In 7th grade my best friend and I were teamed up with a girl we did not know very well for an in-class assignment. Our assignment was to be about pioneer settlers moving to the west and writing to our friends back east to tell them the differences and what we liked about living out west. Our paper completely revolved around meeting up with a new friend in the west named Mike Hunt. We played with Mike Hunt. We ate with Mike Hunt. We did everything possible and enjoyed doing it thoroughly with Mike Hunt. We talked the girl into going in front of the class and giving a 5-minute oral presentation on how much she liked playing with my Mike Hunt. This was the pinnacle of my middle school career. My 8th grade math teacher's name was Mike Hunt. He chose the wrong profession. I had a friend whose teacher was Richard Head. And yes, he went by Dick. In grade 11 geography my friend and I did a presentation in front of the class where we proceeded to steal things from the teacher's desk throughout the presentation. We just used some basic distraction techniques. While one of us was making a large hand gesture to describe something, the other put a stapler in his pocket. We had stolen nearly every office supply item from the desk when my friend slid a huge 3-hole punch toward me as if daring me to steal it. I laughed and we ended the presentation. During my sophomore year of college, I took microbiology as a class project. We were to break into groups and make a food that had the similar characteristics of any pathogen. My group chose the beef tapeworm as our pathogen. As the only female in the group, I was elected to make the food. For those of you unfamiliar with the beef tapeworm, when ingested, it attaches to the host's small intestine and feeds on whatever the host eats. As it grows, sections of the worm break off and leave the host's body through defecation. So, with this knowledge, I decided to make chocolate-covered chocolate cake balls, elongated to look like a turd, and put gummy worms inside each ball. Senior year of high school. We had just started the existentialism unit with the fantastic story of Bartleby the Scrivener by Herman Melville. For those of you not familiar, Bartleby, the Scrivener, was a scribe a couple hundred years ago, and whilst Bartleby was at first a hard worker, eventually, when tasked to do projects by his boss, the narrator of the story, he responds, "I would prefer not to." Naturally, I would not ruin the story for you, but his statements exemplified existentialism, and as such, due to the public schooling system, our app level class was tasked with writing an essay at the end of the unit on existentialism and Dear Bartleby. However, our class began right after a short, but long enough, 10-minute break, and our teacher, a crazy cat lady, who Reddit would absolutely adore, she hated the annoying freshmen and let her seniors get away with all sorts of shenanigans, would always take the 10-minute break with her fellow teachers. So, during that 10-minute break, I convinced everyone in the class that, instead of writing the essay, when the teacher would come back, we would all write. I would prefer not to on a piece of paper, put our names on top, turn it in silently, and sit down. At first the class was reluctant. I had done previous shenanigans before, but eventually they agreed. So, the bell rang, the teacher returned, and she told us to take out a piece of paper and begin our essay. I was first, and after me, a slow, and then fast stream of 30+ seniors wrote I would prefer not to in various sized fonts and spellings on paper, and turned it in. When I did it, the teacher was dumbstruck. But after each individual student turned in the subsequent Bartleby-esque essay, she began laughing. And, after every student had turned in their essay, she exclaimed, "Congratulations, you all get an A. Just do not tell next period. Best essay ever. If you are reading this, you made it until the end of the video. Click the thumbs up button, since you made it until the end." Bam. On screen there should be some more videos similar to this. So either go do something else, or watch more videos. That's about it. There is no more here. What are you waiting for, a secret message or something? Okay. This is not a secret, but subscribe for more videos like this.